Yo, what's going on, you guys? Maybe some girls. I don't know. I don't discriminate. All are welcome here. I'll be reviewing some of my personal NFL fantasy football picks for the season. I realize it's week 6 and I'm a little late in the game, but I had some other stuff going on. You know how it is. But now I'm ready. Now, the pricing information I'm using is from DraftKings. No, I'm not sponsored by DraftKings. I'm just a regular average Joe who enjoys everything about the game, the research, building the lineups, all that fun stuff. I'm not going to help you win the Millionaire Maker. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here to have a little fun. So you can follow me on Twitter. I'm usually tweeting as I'm watching the games and throughout the week. If I notice anything in the NFL, I'll throw up a poll or an opinion. If you got any questions, if you want to chat, hit me up or don't. Whatever. It's free country. All right, so let's start with quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Watson, and Drew Brees are some of the more expensive options this week at the position, and rightly so. Ownership is going to be high on these guys, but their matchups are great. These are more of your cash game options, but they can be used for GPP as well if you throw in a few low-owned options at other areas on the field. Cousins is $6,800 on DraftKings this week, pretty moderately priced. He's going up against the 49ers, who is ranked 25th against the pass, giving up an average of 248 yards per game. The Redskins are coming off of a bye in Week 5, so he should be well rested and primed to air that ball out, averaging 30 passes per game and 251 passing yards. I'm expecting a touchdown or two from Cousins, so he's definitely in play against San Francisco for me. Deshaun Watson is $6,700 this week, which is a $1,000 plus increase since week 4, and for good reason. This guy has been an absolute monster the past few weeks, throwing 4 touchdowns against the Titans, 5 touchdowns against the Chiefs, and now he's facing the abysmal Cleveland Browns. Fantasy owners are salivating for this matchup, which is why he will be highly owned, but still a great option. And Drew Brees is the third most expensive option in the Sunday slate, just behind Tom Brady. But he's going to be going up against the Lions defense, which has allowed 255 passing yards on average to quarterbacks. And this game could quickly turn into a shootout against Matthew Stafford. Brees is also coming off of a bye. He's playing at home in the Dome, and he averaged 20 points when playing at home. I like the matchup. If you can pay up for him in cash, certainly do so. GPP, he's going to be highly owned as well, so try to fade him a bit. But again, he's in play if you can afford him. And some other players I like, which would be a sneaky GPP play, are Ben Roethlisberger, Carson Palmer, and Josh McCown. Palmer's been throwing a ton since Johnson went on injury reserve, and they are facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is the third worst passing defense in the league. I know they just traded for Adrian Peterson, but he's got to learn the offense, so I don't see him taking anything away from the pass game just yet. Big Ben threw 5 or 6 interceptions last week against the Jaguars. I don't remember. I lost count after a while. So a lot of people will be off him this week, but against a weak Kansas City secondary, he could bounce back and have a big game. So if you are playing GPP, he may not be a bad option either. And call me crazy, but McCown will also be up against a weak secondary facing the Patriots. It could be a good GPP option as well. So keep an eye on McCown. I think he might be a real good play. Okay, now for running backs. Running backs this week are juicy. Everybody is going to be invoking the holy trinity of Gurley, Fournette, and Gurley. All 3 have matchups this week that are just so good. I expect tournaments and cash games to have these 3 in pretty much every single lineup in some variation. I'm more of a GPP player myself, so I'm looking for the gems, the diamonds in the rough, if you will. This week, I'm looking at Elijah McGuire from the Jets, Alvin Kamara from the Saints, and Chris Thompson from the Redskins. These guys get it done in the air more than on the ground, but that's where the points are, so we need to chase them. I'm also looking at Duke Johnson Jr. from the Browns and Lamar Miller from the Texans, as they could have some major upside this week. Okay, now we're on to wide receivers. I usually stack one with my quarterback of choice, which is a legitimate strategy for any fantasy football player. So with that being said, you could take the number 1 receiver on the depth charts and pair them up with any one of the quarterbacks I mentioned earlier, such as Big Ben and AB, or Watson and Hopkins, or Breeze and Thomas. But much like running backs, you want to find those sleepers, and that is not always the easiest thing to do when it comes to this position. For me personally this week, I like Will Fuller, Marvin Jones Jr., and Willie Snead, if he plays this week. He's been, suspended over the past 3 weeks, and then he's been injured for the past 2 weeks. If Snead doesn't play, I also like Adam Thielen, because with Stephon Diggs not playing this week, Thielen could have some major upside, should get a lot of targets. I like Thielen as well. And finally, defense and special teams. Most players are going to be on the Texans because the Browns' offense is just absolutely terrible. And also, they'll be on the Jaguars because they have just been insane this year. They put up 28 DraftKings points against the Steelers last week. And that number for a defense and special teams is just insane. This week, I'm feeling really good about the Baltimore Ravens and the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are facing a laughable weak offense of the Miami Dolphins with Jarvis Landry as their lone offensive weapon, with Jay Ajayi just underperforming and DeAndre Parker got injured in the last game. Now for the Baltimore Ravens, they're playing the Bears. Now Chicago played well against the Vikings, but I think Baltimore will put more pressure on Trubisky and cause a lot of turnover potential and sacks. The offensive line just collapses way too often to not take advantage of it. So Falcons and the Ravens are my top plays this week for defense and special teams. So that's going to do it for week 6. Thanks for watching the video. If you guys like what you saw, if you want me to do more, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll be back for week 7. Good luck this week, and hope you win some money. Cheers.